We're ready to go? All right. I call the meeting to order for Economic Development for May the 2nd. And we have in attendance, let's see, we need one alternate. So if you could sit in for Fred tonight, that would be great. And the rest of us are regular members. The minutes of April the 4th, did everybody get a copy of those and get a chance to take a look at it? I'd like to move on it if we can. Any?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay. I just have one thing under the Goodspeed Landing concerning the maintenance of the town office site. And also the use of the grounds. We didn't put in there, we said that you could utilize it was possible to utilize the grounds. I think also in that conversation it was in there that it would be on a case-by-case basis and subject to the approval of the selectmen. And I think that's important to have in there, that any use or considered use, that has to go to the selectmen and be approved by the selectmen of any use of the grounds down there. And Ralph is joining us at a couple of minutes past 7. So I think I would just put in there that maybe under that last sentence in there that
Say by approval by selectmen.
yeah,
For approval.
subject to approval by selectmen.
I need a second.
Okay.
Second.
Second it, okay. Any other comments or thoughts on the minutes? All those in favor of the minutes as amended? Aye. Those opposed? Minutes are passed. We'll move on to old business, Chairman. Basically, the town office site, they did get the RFQ out. Did get their responses. We'll see where they go. I'll be asking Emmett to maybe comment on that, or
Nothing new on that, really.
okay.
Do we have a
Did-
second?
Just pending to see what comes in.
Okay. Did we decide to have a second round?
Not to do so.
Decided not to do so. Okay.
That was
No
debated.
second.
Lawyers said we kind of can, but we'd have to modify the original RFQ, and nobody really felt that was felt comfortable with that.
Okay. Okay.
And so we're going to see what happens, and if it doesn't work out the way we want it, we'll go back for a second cut.
Okay. And you got a letter from the revitalization asking to put it out for a second, and
Yeah, it's really too late at this point to do that.
okay. Yeah. And
So we're going to wait and see what comes in, see what it looks like, and then go from there.
what's the final date for submissions on that?
It's,
Okay.
and it's.
It's fairly soon, isn't it?
Yeah, it's relatively soon.
Yeah, a couple of weeks, I think, still to
I was
go.
kind of, I think I have
The
May,
26th keeps coming to
well-
mind, but I may be wrong on that.
Okay.
I'll look it up.
All right, let's take and just see what it is. So there's been some discussions about the building department and the fee schedule for the building department. I'd just like to tell the commission I have sat down with the building official. He's our new building official, Bill Thrody. Man is a wonderful addition to this town. He's doing a wonderful job. He gets out. He gets things inspected. He's a gentleman to work with, and I give the man just really a great reference, and I think we've done really well. I commend the selectmen for picking such a qualified gentleman to.
Once we saw what we had there,
Yeah.
understood the circumstances, we said this is a winner.
Yeah.
All the way.
I spent a little bit of time with him this week, and I was extremely pleased with his attitude, the way he wants to run the department, and I love the attitude of, well, we're moving those applications in and we're moving them out. We're not going to let them stack up on this desk. And so it was certainly nice to take and see. So I did get into it a little bit with him on the fees. And basically, he said that that's not anything that he has anything to say about. That basically comes from the selectmen. The selectmen basically establish fees. He just collects whatever the selectmen say the fee structure is. And from just my own view of it, it seems to be extremely high. And I've heard from other builders, and we have a couple of builders in the audience. Would you like to make comments to the board? Or?
Yeah, I actually would like to present a few items if possible.
Sure, absolutely. You've got the floor.
I'm Ben Shaw for the record. We did briefly discuss a little bit. And I agree also that the new building official is a very cordial, very nice man. I had nothing but good things to say about him.
Yeah,
Again, thank you very much for your pick, the selectman. I wanted to pass out to you, I wrote a letter to the town of selectmen, Board of Selectmen rather, and the economic development, because I too feel that the building fees are extremely high. And this has been a problem that has just recently occurred. I'm gonna give copies to you of
Thanks.
my last building for a new construction home. And I also wrote a letter, which I will distribute.
thank you. This, I take it, has not been issued yet, or it has been issued?
That has been issued.
It
but
has been issued.
I
So,
wrote-
okay, so it went through the new building official or the old?
The new building
The
official.
building, okay.
But I did write my check and then I wrote under dispute.
Okay.
And then I have one last.
Did you find that this moved through the department in a reasonable length of time?
Yes, extremely fast. In fact, I was very impressed. I had a building permit from the time that I submitted, probably within 3 or 4 days. So very fast turnaround.
Yep.
But the last thing I want to bring up is we have 2 different fee schedules. One was effective June 1st, 2018, under the last building official, which was Jerry Russ. And
What year is that one?
June
2018.
1st, 2018, and I'll give you a copy of that as well. So this is the fee schedule as of June 2018,
Okay,
which was not even quite a year ago.
okay.
And on this fee schedule, on this fee schedule, we went from, and I'll pass up, this is the new one, oops, sorry, which was released and signed as effective October 1st, 2018, so this is 4 months later. So, oh, sure, sorry.
I've got copies enough at my office. but not
That's
here.
October. And is this the, here's a copy of the letter. And this is June. So if you look at the, basically what I've found, if you go to my letter, I've written the letter to the Board of Selectmen and Economic Development. And, again, I just said that I recently pulled a building permit. And the cost I was expecting to pay would be $2,105 based on the system we had in place as of a year ago. Not even a year ago, 6 months ago. And as of October 2018, they passed two different things that raised the rates extremely high, over 100%. I ended up paying $4,334.76, which is over 100% increase. And I'm told it's because of two reasons. Number one, East Haddam went from $10 per thousand to an estimated construction cost to $13.26, which is over a 30% increase. But not only that, number two, East Haddam adopted this new, which I've handed out to everybody, a new billing system per square footage that went from $90 a square foot in June of 2018. If you look at the second page, under new single family construction costs, it's $90 per square foot. If everybody sees that. So it'd be the one listed from June 1st cost valuation.
Yep.
We went from $90 a square foot, and then
125, 128.
we went, well, the new one is not 128. 128 is without subcontractors. So if you scroll down to the last page, new dwellings with subs, it went from $90 to $150. So what I did is, I thought that was exorbitant because we went up over 100% in the last few months. And I called approximately 50 of the surrounding towns. Now, if you go back to my letter, I called about 50 towns, and almost all of them said it's the duty of the contractor to assess the building costs. And that is my experience for the last 10 years in construction. You would come up with a valuation, and you write it down, and then the building inspector signs off on it, and you pay based on what your fee is. And that was the same for East Haddam as of a year and a half ago. But I'm told now that we're going by a new system, and it's not that way. So I called approximately 50 towns, and almost all of them, except for maybe two of them, said that, it's the duty of the contractor. So I had to tell them, well, what if in the event the contractor was totally off, and we had a 2,000 square foot colonial, and I said that I could build it for $10,000. And they all laughed, and they said, well, then we would have to reevaluate it. I said, well, in that event, who would do so? And they said, well, the building official. And so they said they'd have to get back because this is a unique situation. It's not something that they normally deal with. So building officials called me back. A lot of them told me that they don't even go by that. It's just the contractor signs the fee, and that's what they go by. But out of them towns, I got 19 of them to kind of commit to some sort of fee schedule. And basically what I detail here is 19 of the surrounding towns and what I would be charging, or what I would be charged, for the building permit. And these are even higher because most of them would take my word for my assessed building fee. And I'm a Deep River, 2,800 Guilford, which by the way is where Bill Toby's from. I talked to him as well. And in Guilford, I'd be paying $1,396. Chester, I called them, $2,809 based on their fee schedule. But again, normally they wouldn't even go by that, they would go by what you put down. So long story short is if you go through all these different towns, the median price for the above towns is $2,439.86. It's almost 80% higher than East Haddam. I feel that is, too high. I don't know why it jumped from such a high amount. In fact, what I gave you as far as June 1st valuations, based on $90 a square foot, which is what it was as of not even a year ago, I would be paying a little less than $2,000 for a building permit. And here we are, not even a year later, and I'm paying $4,335 for a small colonial with an attached garage. And that has nothing to do with zoning permits, septic permits. You still have to file for your electrical permit, your HVAC permit. So I'm just requesting that the town basically rescind to what we had. And also what I think is noteworthy is that I called the late building official, that we had full-time, his name is Jerry Russ.
Sounds like he died, only the late one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how did you call somebody?
He's from, you know, he's
kidding.
in, Killingworth and Middlefield, he does both.
Yeah.
And, I called him and said, you know, your fee schedule that we used to use as of June first, you know, what did you feel about that? And he said that he assessed it with all the local towns, and he felt that's where we should be. And by all of my research, that is where we should be, to be competitive, to be fair. So, I talked to him and he said that he assessed it as fairly as possible, and, you know, that's where we were. And since then, we've gone up dollars per 1,000, and we've gone up to, you know, we've been, in essence, for a building permit now, to 11 months later, we're paying more than double what we were 11 months ago. So, as a builder in the town, I'm requesting to rescind back to what I think is, you know, fair. So,
Do you know, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you know why, did you do any research as far as why our fees changed? Do we know
yes, I
why that
did.
is?
Vincent Garofalo, who was the last acting building official, evidently went to the selectmen and said that our rates were way too low. So he put in for a request to change, and from my understanding, that's what happened. It was signed in at a local board meeting. So,
Could I just ask you, the ones that we were using in June of 2018 that Jerry put together, is that something, was there a change at that time, or was that the going rate
excuse me, that was the going rate.
at that time? So that wasn't anything that went through, this wasn't anything that went through the selectmen at that time, that was just what the fee structure that he used.
Yeah.
And at that time, he was utilizing the estimates that were basically done by the contractors.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. All right. Anybody have, Ralph, do you
I
have a
think it's a great
question?
breakdown, very educational.
Excuse me,
I
yes.
appreciate all the legwork you've done on this, and you really educated me. I knew it was high, but I never really saw the difference.
Do you have any extras of the research you did, or just one copy? It'd be nice if we could send that out to basically the, well.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Ben.
I think that to have, basically, if you've done 20 towns, that's a good roundness of the various towns that we had. And I certainly think that we could, you know, take this up with the selectmen and see what and why and how
Okay, yeah.
that happens.
Excuse me, my throat is a little dry.
Yeah, so you can tell.
If you have any other questions,
No.
it's fine.
I do, just a couple of questions as far as like the towns that you picked. Some of them obviously are next to us, which is good. I don't see East Hampton on here. Another one that probably would be good to see what Madison does, because isn't that where Vinnie
Madison is the same,
as
that's East Haddam.
Yeah.
now?
It's the only
Oh.
town that now.
Now, okay, so Madison's fees are the same as what
Correct.
we're charging now, okay.
Correct. It's the only town in the surrounding areas that's even close.
Yeah, well, I see Guilford's here, which is right next to, Madison.
And it
Yeah.
doesn't seem like a fair comparison to Haddam, Madison.
No.
I was
No,
working there
no,
today,
not at all.
and that's a very high-end town.
Your beginning prices of housing in Madison, your starter home is 500,000 and
Right.
up.
Yeah.
You don't buy a new house in Madison for less than 500, and that's a starter home. And it's an unbelievable market down there. But, yes, go ahead. But I
Is
think
Haddam
that,
on here? Like Haddam's not on here. You know, you know, not that he didn't do his homework, I mean, there's lots here, but I'm just saying that, you know, if we looked at Haddam's, because they're right there and they're kind of comparable to us. East Hampton, it's somewhat comparable to us, I mean, it's a little different, but you know,
Yeah.
right here, local, you
Yeah.
know, we, like I said, we got Colchester in here, we got Old Lyme.
Yeah, well, Deep River is, Chester is, Hebron is, Columbia is, Manchester somewhat, Middlefield is.
Right.
There's,
I mean, everybody's pretty much between 8 and 14 on the high end, and that's Meriden. Killingly is 14, Manchester's 15. But still, the way that it's figured, even at 15, Manchester is at 2205 for the same,
Man, yeah,
and that's at 15 as opposed to.
10 is where we were.
So how are we figuring it out? Because if they're at 15, and these guys are at we're at 13.
Because
yet-
it's the square footage, it's what they're charging for the square footage. East Haddam is
all based
150, they're
Oh, I see.
65.
Oh, okay, that's where I'm
So,
losing the.
so when you're figuring, basically, when a builder takes out this application for a building permit, you put in what your estimated costs are. And of course, if you're doing this in Madison, that estimated cost of that 2,000 square feet is different than what it is in East Haddam. And so you have to adjust it according to what area you're in. And that's what's showing up there. That's why you're seeing $65 on some of them, and then, you know, East Haddam being at $150. So I think that this is obviously great information. It's a good information for the selectmen. I think
Yeah.
now they can look at this and basically make a judgment call here that we certainly need to take.
Was this done before, when the selectmen, or when Vinnie was talking about raising the things, did Vinnie do this?
I did it a year ago, and we raised them according to what he came up with,
Based on what?
his recommendations.
Just, where did the numbers come from?
I talked to him about it, I can't even remember what the name of it is.
RS means.
Yeah,
Correct,
but there is a mechanism. One of the things to keep in mind here, I'm looking at this, and I've spent a little time looking at these already. That 150 is first floor. You go to the second floor, it's $100, so the actual is like at 125 when you average it. And that's the only time I see where there's a differential between the two levels. All the other ones seem to have just square foot.
correct, yeah.
Yeah, so when you look at some of them, they say 125, well, they're actually on a par with us, on average.
But not pricing wise.
Well, there's other things going into it, clearly.
Yeah.
And I have spent some time looking at this.
Okay.
At your behest,
Yeah,
believe it or not.
thank
There's a
you.
folder on my desk. And I haven't had a lot of time to look at it yet, I'll be honest. You look at something like Chester at 120, and that's across the board.
But their dollars, no. Basically,
And
Wood
they tend to
siding,
be high
I mean,
too.
just
They're
looking
up
at
to-
wood siding at 325 a square
Well,
foot
they're still
versus now
900
700 square. I mean, they
for
literally
comparable, but
got
that's
more
still
than
higher.
doubled it.
We're still much higher than they.
yeah.
And I've got to talk to people about it, and try and get a better grip on what's going on here.
Yeah, and it's all across the board too. I mean, when we get into all these breakdowns.
Blasted decks went from 20 to 42. I mean,
Oh, I
I
actually.
mean, look at this, the wood siding though, that just
Yeah.
Wood, I
wood
actually
siding
have-
was,
blew up. Yeah, that's
went from
3.25 to
3 and a
700.
quarter to 700. I mean, that's not even twice, that's more than twice.
Yeah.
I actually had highlighted, I don't know where my copies went, but
I've
I
got
had
highlighted one here.
two of the highlighted copies of the breakdown, which is
I have a highlighted one.
right here. These two actually, I highlighted areas that were
The most.
huge differences for, you know, in 4 month span. Detached garage, we went from $40 to 90. Decks, $20 to 42. Roofing, 180 to 220. Air conditioning systems, from $4,000 to 8,000. Boiler replacements from 4,500 to 6,500.
Yeah, I guess it's worth looking at
It's just
where
such a-
these numbers came from.
Well, when you look at questions, Jerry is pretty far back. And I'm just wondering when, albeit this says June 1st, I don't know when they actually went into effect. Those numbers.
Oh, when the June 1 numbers started?
Yeah, when they
Yeah,
actually.
it could be
went into
older.
effect.
Could I
Yeah.
have one of those copies of?
You know what, if you wanna take both these, that's fine.
Okay.
It kinda highlights the differences.
Okay.
And to answer your question, I did call East Hampton and a bunch of other towns, and their answer was simply the contractor picks the fee.
Okay.
So there was nothing, I only wanted to put what I could actually.
No, the contractor doesn't pick the.
No, I'm sorry, they picked the evaluated cost, and then it's just whatever their numbers per thousand.
Gotcha.
So I did call all the surrounding towns,
Okay.
but most of them had.
I mean,
that
a
to
lot of
say.
them are similar to us anyway, that
Yeah.
you have on the list, but,
The only one other than Madison that I did call that was higher than us was Hartford,
The city of
the
Hartford.
city of Hartford.
Okay.
Go figure.
So,
we have Meriden on here and they're comparable too, so,
but Hartford should be a lot higher than us.
yeah,
But,
exactly.
well, thank you very much. This is great information. I think that, you know, we will share this around our table. Certainly, sharing it with the first selectman, that's where it's gotta go. That's where the
Sure.
decisions are made.
And I would like to make just one more point, I'm not looking to get special treatment or anything like that, I just.
You don't want just to do this for you?
I'm just looking for, you know, fair.
And you know what, that's what we want too, we want it to be fair for all the homeowners out there, because everybody pays this. This is what homeowners pay, this is what builders pay, this is what everybody who walks into the office.
It affects the town residents directly.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we all want it to be fair. We want it to be fair to the community, we want it to be fair to basically to the taxpayers or the people who are coming in and looking to do a building permit. So long as everything is fair, it kind of works, but as soon as everything gets out of whack, then it becomes so it's not fair to our taxpayers out there and our business people. But anybody have any, Ralph, you have any comments on this?
No,
or-
I think Ben clarified everything here. Just a review.
Well, how would you like to do with this? Should we be looking into this? Should we have a committee to look into this? Should we be making
Yeah.
a recommendation to the
Well,
Board of
maybe we just
Selectmen
make a recommendation.
to the Board of Selectmen that they look at this? It seems like what's come before this board needs
not
to be investigated as it seems.
Economically friendly for our town.
Yeah,
I would recommend that we review this
Yeah.
closer, and once we have a better understanding of this, submit it to the first selectman, because obviously we have to look into this,
oh, absolutely,
yeah. So
absolutely.
it's great awareness, and we can review it this meeting or the next meeting, and have something to forward to the
Make a
first selectman.
recommendation.
Yeah, I think that this board should certainly be making a recommendation to the selectmen, or
Move
certainly.
right along on this.
Yeah, yeah, and, but what if we, Jeff?
I think we need to establish what the procedure is gonna be, establishing the rates.
Well,
What I'm thinking is we find out how this has been done, then establish how we wanna handle it, how many towns we wanna compare, and how to compare it, and just write down, compare it to the other towns and see what our differences are and why.
Well, it looks like Ben has already done the work for us. Now, once I study this and really learn the difference, I want to be educated, and then I'll have a thought to bring my thoughts to the board. And it may be this exact paperwork, and Emmett may already have this paperwork, but what I've seen right now is I stand behind this.
Not being in the business
Yeah,
that you are, I would want to verify some of the
Right.
things.
yeah,
But it's a huge amount of work
it certainly
that went
is.
into this.
yeah, and we certainly appreciate you
Yeah.
getting into this, Ben. And, well, what if we basically take a look at this, let's have a comfort level, and from my understanding, and we'll get the procedure from the first selectman, but basically, typically, the Board of Finance goes out and says, hey, all you committees out there and department heads, we want you to bring in some more money. And so the department heads then go out and say, okay, we can raise our fees, we can do whatever, and come up with something and submit it to the selectmen and go through the budget process or whatever it is.
Right.
And then the selectmen do what, either accept it, reject it, or revise it. But I think that something like this, It's set by the selectmen. The selectmen basically set it. Obviously, they're gonna use the information that's gonna come from the building official, is gonna be certainly a big part of it, as any department head would be. And, so I think that what we would be doing is looking out for the interests of the builders in the community, and also, this is every homeowner. And,
Yeah, well, the
that,
numbers that would be proposed to the first select.
I don't think we can really say,
Justification.
yeah, I don't think we can say what the number should be, but I think we can say that, that they certainly need to be reviewed, and certainly what was presented at this meeting, certainly shows huge variations here, when we're talking, let's say, $2,000 for a building permit and $4,000 for the same building permit.
Well, we have the comparisons, and what's better than the comparisons from other towns that are similar to us, and we have it right in front of us. So
Well, and the other big thing here is the procedure, and the procedure is either using the estimates that are prepared by the contractor, or basically the building official assessing it at some number that they have come up with. And that's really where these big differences come in. And I think that having it set by the building official, I don't know, in my years of doing this, I've never experienced that in my life. And East Haddam is the only one who has ever set what the estimated cost would be. And I don't know, Ralph, what's your experience? Do you usually put the estimated cost and they
Oh, we
work with
always
that?
do. And once again, it's like the motor vehicle, they do have a set rate.
Sure.
And with the towns, you're honest about the quality of the chimney, the flooring, the roofing, what type of this, what type of that. And it's either $200 a square foot, or it could be $125 a square foot in some towns. And the building inspector will notice that it's vinyl siding on the house, it's not wood clapboard and et cetera, it's not wood shingles, it's asphalt shingles. You evaluate it, and it's 300,000, 400,000.
And obviously it depends a huge amount what house you're talking about and where you're talking about doing it. And,
Well, all materials are the same, and sure, labor's higher on the coastline
Yep.
than it is up here in East Haddam and so on. But relatively speaking, square footage, you state what it is. And if they have any questions, they question you about it, and they may review things, and I've had them review a lot of things. They question the roof, the swimming pool, the driveway, and so on, and they come up with that.
I just would like to state that if we're basing fees off of $150 a square foot, that's putting the estimated building price higher than you can actually even sell houses for in this town.
Yeah, obviously, this is $326,000 for
For a
this.
small colonial, I mean, you can't even get that for this town, and that's the estimated building cost. That's not permits, that's not the land, that's not the excavation. So they're putting my valuation of a small colonial in Moody's way over 400,000.
No, it doesn't look like that, Ben. It looks like you're submitting 326,000, and that's for the cost of the foundation, nothing to do with the land, just the foundation.
That's my point.
It's the building.
Right.
It's
Just
just the
the-
building,
right.
so, and that's
Not
what
the
they're,
grass or the
The
trees.
well, the septic.
correct, and when you add all that as well,
Right.
based on what they're giving me for numbers on the town, they're putting the value of my house, finished product, at way above 400,000, and I can't even sell the house for maybe 319.
Yeah, and
So, being in the insurance business, I will say that when we insure a home for replacement, our replacement cost is gonna be a lot higher than selling price, like market.
Right,
Okay, so that is definitely sometimes higher. But the question is that, does this raise the taxes on the house? Does the building, I don't know, does the
well,
building
that's
cost,
the assessor.
that would raise the
the assessor, you'll have to argue that with the assessor.
You're opening up the door to another argument.
Right.
Because basically, they're gonna use
Well, I'm
this.
just, yeah,
Because now you
Yeah.
put down $326,000 as the estimated cost. Now, that's not what the builder thinks, that's what the building official thinks. Now, that number is going to get picked up by the assessor, because they're gonna say that you wrote it down, so guess what? We're gonna assess this house for
And that's my
$326,000.
concern is because this is just, it's evolving to be a much bigger problem.
It will grow.
That's the procedure, and that's fine, because we've been dealing with it all our life. The assessor will come in even before we finish. In many towns, the assessor comes in unannounced,
Correct.
starts measuring floors, measuring this, measuring that, to get that, his fee up higher than when we're done. But that's another subject.
Right.
The building, the
well,
contractor
if we're
comes in.
starting at this number though, at the building level,
Well, that's fine, and that's the only thing that's on the table right now. The builder comes in, he wants a building permit, and a cheap house or nice house is gonna be $150,000 or $300,000. The building department has to accept it or not accept it.
What
Then
did,
where it
what,
goes after that with the town assessor, it's up to them, nothing to do with the builder.
Right.
Because usually when we're done, some of us, when we're done building a house, it's gonna look like $1 million house. That's up to the assessor, nothing to do
And
with
that's
me.
exactly why the
Yeah.
contractor puts the value, because I alone know that I'm gonna be putting in granite and.
Well, yeah, well, technically not the value, the cost.
Correct.
We have nothing to do with the value,
Correct.
because if we do a great job, this house can be worth twice as much as it, and it can be sold
Correct.
for more.
Correct.
And it's just market value.
But you're simply saying it's gonna cost me $300,000, and that may include the plumbing, sometimes subs are separate, that's a fine line.
Correct.
That's, another subject, but when you come in for $300,000, that's all you should be paying a permit on, unless he has a question about
okay,
that.
and you, I take it this is your writing here, it's $209,000 is
That's
what you
what I-
estimated for 2,000 square feet of
Correct.
colonial.
Building costs. That's
Building
what I
costs.
submitted. And then I got it crossed out and they wrote 326 on it.
Oh, they.
They,
That was the
they,
building
they
official.
crossed the 209 out
They crossed it off
and
See
put
that.
the 326.
and then charged me another $1,600.
Right,
Right.
okay, okay. So, here again, it's a case where the building official is basically coming up with the estimated value of the house.
Correct. Based off of,
The sheets that he has to work with, because basically this is what the selectmen have told him he has to use.
Right.
So-
He can't use his judgment. He has to use what the selectmen give him.
correct.
Okay.
so were you unaware, when you put this one in, were you unaware that the rates had changed?
Completely unaware.
Oh, okay, and that's why it came back at a different number, because there were new rates put in
Correct,
place,
correct.
okay.
I built a house last year. and,
Gotcha.
We pulled the permit and it was about half price. I came back this year and that's what started the,
What,
Here he is,
hello, Joe.
sounds good.
A
Exciting
year,
meeting.
a year ago, was it a similar house, this 2,000 square foot house?
We pulled the permit for my brother's house.
The 2,000 square foot house approximately?
What is it?
Or something similar?
The size wise on the outside is fairly similar, a little smaller. The living space would be less because it also has a larger garage with a bonus room above the
I
garage.
think it was around.
Or
So-
even under.
You're gonna come,
So
you're
comparable
similar.
footprint,
Yeah, and what, the building permit was in the $2,000 bracket?
Yes.
It was, yeah, but it, well, you know the house.
Yeah.
But I would say it's fairly comparable, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay. All right, so basically, I mean, what, dollar for dollar, we're paying now twice what we paid a year ago.
Yeah, and it's because of two things.
Yeah,
The
right.
dollar per thousand went up $3.26
Yep.
as of October, and also, we changed to this new fee schedule, which is drastically different from June of 2018.
And gives the building official no leeway.
Correct.
So he can't make any judgments based on vinyl siding, wood roof, non-wood roof. I mean, boy, there's pretty big variables
Correct,
here.
I could build an OSB house and vinyl siding and, pergo flooring,
Right.
and I'm still getting charged the same amount.
Ah.
Or I could three-stage crown molding and granite and.
Right.
And
So
there's no,
it
there's
takes-
no differentiation, it's just a flat rate per
Yeah,
square
it takes
foot.
away total discretion on the building official part, which,
And the contractor, correct.
yeah.
Hey,
All right.
Okay,
Joe, we've just had a discussion about building permit fees, and very good presentation by Ben Shaw, and I think that certainly very educational when he's done this much research on it. All right, so the feeling is that we would like to study it till the next meeting, and basically then
make a recommendation.
make a recommendation to the
Yes.
selectmen at that time.
Definitely.
It certainly looks like there's some room here to make some adjustments, and Ben has brought up that we should really just go back to what we had previous to what came in October of 2018. So I think maybe we could look at that and see if we think that we agree, or whether we just feel that the selectmen as a blank should review it, come up with their own conclusions as to what the dollars should be, but certainly these look like they're very inflated prices too.
I mean, is there any reason to not just send a recommendation to them now about, just, why don't you review these fees? These look like comparable to other towns from the research that Ben.
Yeah, because we're not gonna come up with
We're not gonna
dollars.
come up with
We're
any
not
kind of
We're not
fees.
gonna come up with anything better than this. The
Yeah.
work has already been done.
It's already been done.
It's all on this page.
I think it would be good
already in
if
black and white.
basically the selectmen had a letter from us saying that we think that you should
And we
review
can
it
cite
based
this
upon the
information.
information that came to us at our meeting at such
Yeah,
and such a
do you want
date.
to draft something?
I can draft something, yeah. Is that agreeable to the board?
Well, it is based on my background, but I would want to verify some figures before I did.
Okay, yeah,
That's what I do.
yes.
Okay, and perhaps we could like say we should be comparable to, four of us will say, Middletown or Clinton or Madison. Like, what are we comparable to? What should we be around?
And we don't have to
There's
go
good
through
examples.
I don't think we should get into dollars. I think that should come from the building department. I think, but we can certainly say that based on the comparisons that were
Yeah.
brought to us at this meeting, we are way above. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not $50 above.
Right. well,
We're
not gonna-
double.
Right, we're not gonna lower it by $10. We're gonna
No.
get down to where Middletown is or,
Well, I like Guilford myself.
Yeah, I like Middletown. Right, so that's my vote. That's what I'm- right?
Well, I think, honestly, I do think that because, I mean, we have a couple of contractors here on this commission, and I think Bob's right, is that we shouldn't get involved in the actual numbers, but I think we've got enough here in front of us that says
Nurses.
that maybe we need to advise or, suggest to the Board of Selectmen that they need to look at these fee schedules again.
Most definitely.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we just write a kind of a very generic letter saying that we reviewed it, we had a builder bring this information to us, we request that the Board of Selectmen review it and,
And let us know what their thoughts
and
are.
basically come back to.
Justify why these fees have gone so out of whack compared to everybody else out
Yeah.
there.
Would,
Because this is an economic development issue.
oh, absolutely.
I mean, you've got, you've got people who are having problems with building, now we have a building official, well, that's great, because now we can get things done, and we've got a great guy in place, and, people were not necessarily interested in doing business over here because it was so hard, because there wasn't a guy here on full-time, well, now we got a full-time guy, but now our fees are out of whack, so we've gotta keep being business-friendly over here, and this might not appear to be so business-friendly.
No, it's not.
And this isn't neighborhood friendly, this isn't tax friendly for our, our people in town if we've got these inflated prices.
Would you be willing to draft something? Maybe, I think maybe you would be the best person to draft something
Yeah, I'll
on this.
draft it and give it to you, and then you can,
Yeah, and then.
or I can send it to the board and you guys can,
And I think
just to ask for their oversight on it.
yeah, I think just ask that the selectmen review it, and see that, what other towns are charging and how we can be more, competitive with other communities around us and basically, get back, closer to where we were.
Yeah.
certainly June of 18 seemed to be more in line with East Haddam. I think that using Madison numbers is not fair for East
That
Haddam.
sounds like a good way to phrase it, to get back closer to where we were. So that'd be a good start there.
Okay. All right, basically, can we agree on that? And then at our next meeting, I'd like to then go back and get into it a little bit. I'd like everybody to look at it and then come back and we'll see how far the selectmen have gotten in the next 30 days. But I think we need to put them on notice that we've reviewed it. And we think that, or it certainly appears that we need
Needs
to,
another look.
review this. And then from there, if everybody will take a look at this, and then come back so that we have a comfort level as to maybe if the selectmen haven't done anything, to come back with a proposal to this board or to the community, we could make some recommendations. Is that reasonable?
Mhm.
Okay, all right. I'd like a motion for somebody basically to authorize the board to write a letter to the Board of Selectmen, and I'm gonna ask Irene to actually draft that, and we'll shoot it to all of you before we send it to the Board of Selectmen.
Right,
Does that sound all right?
yes.
Okay, if somebody will make a motion to that effect,
Motion.
So moved. Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right, and motion carries, that we will draft a letter asking that they review it, but this is gonna be on the agenda for next meeting, to discuss it, and we'll see where the selectmen are at that point, and kind of go from there. All right, thank you. Thank you very much for bringing this to our attention. I think this is something that needs to get looked into, and see what we can come up with to make it fair for all here. And so, all right, thank you. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. Thanks for coming in.
We're gonna put you on the seat here, on the transfer station.
I'll go to sleep.
We're-
Understand one thing, no one on the Board of Selectmen has any building experience whatsoever. And we haven't got a clue, we're just gonna have to go to the building department, talk to them, ask them if this is reasonable.
Yeah.
And try to get a sense of where we're at. It does, in my mind, seem a little high, but I'm also looking at what Jerry had, and that's ancient history. I mean, that was not as of June 1st of 18 that it was created. That was in existence up until there. And the question is, how long have those numbers been around? And where did they need to be adjusted?
Yeah. And,
So there's gonna be a bit more to this than meets the eye.
oh yeah, there always is. It's not usually a
And
instant.
I think we were low with what Jerry had, but we may be high with what Vinnie came up with.
Right.
So the question is, where do we belong?
Yeah, and certainly.
Can we get this list from,
Well, this is in the building department.
no, from other towns?
yeah.
So that we can see it.
It's all,
No two towns do it quite the same way.
but
This,
No,
it
but-
gives us an idea how we
He's
compare.
given us an idea here with
Right.
it worked out. But no two towns are quite, because I've dug through a bunch of other towns,
Yeah.
trying to compare apples to apples, it's real hard to do.
Right.
I've been in many towns, they never do this. How much for siding per square and all that. They just let the contractor say, look, it's $5,000. That's what it is. They don't break it all down like this. I've never seen another
Oh,
town do
really?
that.
Oh, okay.
Now, this is unique for East Haddam. Basically, you'll find your towns that, I mean, I dealt with the Saybrook, the Old Lyme, the Lime. The contractors come in with their estimates, that's what they use. And they don't want to get into.
So they give an
deciding.
estimate and then it's a per square footage number. Is that right?
Well, you'll come up with the estimate, let's say they came up with 209, it's based upon basically the house that you're building. So this is a two-story house, So there is, as Emmett brought up a minute ago, there's a difference between your first floor cost and your second floor. So you do, you take an average, or you also use two different numbers. I mean, when we're making up our own estimates of our own costs, what we're doing is our first floor is a different price than our second floor. It's less money. So if you wanted a house that's a two-story house, you get more for your dollar because we're going up. A ranch is our most expensive house. It's all spread out and it's a lot of roofs. So that's more money than it is if we start stacking. Stacking, it goes down. But basically, you'll come up with a number and we use if we're talking about just the construction costs, $100 a square foot or something like that, if you go for it. But, when they came up with $90 for a garage, well, that is double, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get $90. We couldn't sell a garage for $90 a square foot. And, I mean, $40, that maybe, but certainly $50 maybe, but certainly it's not $90. That just, it just isn't there, that's all. And, so.
And why would a detached garage, I can understand why a detached garage would be more expensive, because you got another wall, whereas as of June 1, 2018, the detached garage is cheaper by $25 than the attached garage. And then in the new one, it's
The other one,
$10
flip.
more.
Yep, flips the other way, yeah.
So, I don't know, just
And
looking at that doesn't
An
make sense.
attached garage is less money than a detached.
Right,
Because you're
because you're
using
looking
a
at
piece
3
of the
walls.
foundation, you're using one of the walls.
Yeah.
So you do have to, with the attached, although you're putting firewalls and you're putting fire doors and you've got things that you don't run into. And that's why, having this all detailed like this, you can be off an awful lot and not be accurate. I think that we should be utilizing estimates from contractors, because that's what I've experienced. And basically, unless they, it's obviously way off, as I think Ben said, it's going to build the house for $20,000. Well, obviously nobody's going to do that. And but this is very unique, and you go in any other town, you won't find anything like this around. But anyway, I think it's good that we got into it, and I think let's
See what happens.
let's see what happens, and if you'll pass something up and get it over to me, we'll get it out. Evan, on the transfer station, I know, I guess we've got the machine is down, and
It's down hard.
yeah, it's down hard.
And we were scheduled to be reversing the traffic flow on the 7th. And I pulled the plug on that. We're gonna postpone that. It's gonna happen. Basically, the ram failed down the bottom, and it's failed hard enough so we can't repair it. It's gonna have to be replaced. Replacement will run about $70,000. If we go out and have it manufactured, take about 2 or 3 months to do it. Apparently, Willimantic has a used one up there. They thought might fit. They're coming down tomorrow to measure it up and see if it'll fit. So we may be able to get a good deal on it. Looking at that. For the moment, what we did was we took one of the recycling. We got 3 there, and we're using that for the trash for the people that are coming in and your residents that are showing up. And you don't get as much into it, but it's pretty close. You'd be surprised.
Really, yeah? Oh, okay.
And, if we went to the bag system, we'd probably get rid of the hopper entirely and go to one like that. And that would be how we'd operate.
What is that? Is that 20 yard, 30 yard, 40 yard?
Don't ask me.
Yeah.
I can't give you a number on it.
Okay.
But in the meantime, we've gone to the haulers. We've said, okay, you guys are headed for Willimantic and you're going to deliver it. We're going to pay the tipping, which we would have paid regardless. And then we've calculated based on tonnage what we've been paying Willimantic to do the hauling.
Okay.
And we're going to pay our haulers the same rate. In effect, it's a net zero.
Okay.
For us at that point. Won't cost us any more to do this. It'll be inconvenient for the haulers. They're not going to like it.
Yep.
Can't blame them. Wear and tear, fuel, time for the guys. Makes a difference.
Oh,
But we're hoping that we can get through this more quickly rather than taking the full 3 months.
Mhm.
See what happens.
yeah.
Quick question, with recycling changing, like the whole climate of recycling changing now, do we need the bag system anymore?
Is what?
The bag system, I mean, we were doing that, I believe, because
Part two.
people weren't recycling, but now that we have a problem with recycling, we can't get rid of the recycling,
Well,
do we need the
yes
bag
and no.
system? Okay,
That's overstated.
okay,
China was taking perhaps a third of our recycled materials.
Mhm.
And they went to the National Sword Program, said it's gotta be 97.5% pure, it never will be. They just don't want it. And what we're doing now is we're taking and, using up about 2/3 of it in America to begin with.
okay.
China's coming in and they're taking over some of the paper making factories, some of the ones that are closed down, and they're actually recycling some of the cardboards that we have. We're looking at pelletizing the plastics here in America. And once we've got nice pellets we've turned it into, those we can ship to China or wherever, and they'll buy them. So we're actually retuning what we're doing here in America. I think over time, we're gonna find that we can probably handle most of the recycling. The big difference is that China was buying the stuff, and the prices for recyclable materials is not gonna go back up again. So we're not gonna find that we've got this nice bonus in the process. But I think we're gonna find that we're gonna handle it here in America very nicely over time.
Okay.
It's gonna take a little bit of effort. A lot of your Willimantics, they're stockpiling the plastic right now. And they're not doing that without the thought that there's gonna be a use for it.
So we're still bagging, still probably gonna go for the bag
I'm still
system.
promoting that. What I think we're gonna do, and I'm just working it up, is, and I'm trying to write up something that explains what happened, where we stand, what the options we have. Then I wanna go to town meetings and actually, or public hearings rather, and have a series of public hearings, 2 or 3 of them, and really present everything, let people talk about it, and then go to a town meeting and let the people decide what they want to do. Do we want to go to the bag system? Do we want to just stay with what we've got, just the way it is right now? That's one of the options. I don't think it's a good one, but it's certainly an option. And then a couple of other options that pop in there. One of the things that's always been on the back burner is just tell the haulers they can't come anymore. But I don't think that's very fair to them. It would be devastating to them. And they're good people who are part of our community, and I don't want to see that happen either. So we need to work it out. I have been in touch with Mira, which is the one out of Hartford, and basically handles everybody wrapping around us right now. They had problems with the turbines last summer, and everything was shut down up there. They weren't able to burn any of the stuff. They had to scramble to get rid of it. As a result, they've jacked their prices about 15%. But interestingly enough, based on what Willimantic's going to be charging next summer, which is probably $74 a ton for what we take up there, they're talking $83 a ton, right here in Essex. I may be part of the answer to that. And that's one of the reasons I'm trying to, I want to get back with them and sit down and let's talk about the numbers, just how they work and what is possible. And I think it's a more attractive situation than they imagined.
Well, and Beth was good, she got the tonnages for them, so that, because I was talking to them this week, Monday, and so they have their tonnage numbers, both of them, so they're working on numbers, and I think.
One of the dilemmas, Jansky is hauling 6 to 8 tons in a load. That's one thing going to Willie. You go back to Chris Bahilo, he's talking 3 or 4 tons per load. He's got the smaller units. They're more agile. They get around the smaller roads. They're easier to work with in the town. When you're unloading it at the transfer station, that's great. You got to go all the way to Willie, suddenly with half the amount of material, and yet it takes just as long. The driver costs just as much, and that becomes a bigger deal for him. So you get a lot of things we gotta factor into this. And I want in the end to be fair and to make it work for everyone.
Yeah, good, because I think that, no, they seem to also be wanting to work with the community too, so,
They're eager to do that, and we have to show them that we're eager to work with them.
and
It's a two-way street.
we've been working with the, with Jansky's and basically Bahilo on trying to work out, economic development is involved in this. I'm attending the meetings, trying to coordinate it with the selectmen and see if we can't get something that works for both the community and works, because we don't want to put these contractors out of business, and they're close. It's a tight business, and so somewhere in between, hopefully there is some working room here. And so we have been meeting, and they were looking to get their exact tonnage so they could tell. And unfortunately, the town has the tonnage, they've been weighed, so we have it, they have it now. Beth got them the tonnage, and they were basically saying by next week, they're hoping that they can have their numbers together as to what their costs are, if they have to go up to Willimantic, if they have to go to Essex, where these things, and then the fee structure for, even though Willimantic may be less per ton, it may be actually, more expensive when you get your trucking costs involved, and especially for Bahilo with small trucks. It's gonna be very difficult to make this work. But I think that we're all talking, and that's, I feel, is the most important thing.
It's been an education for me, because what I needed to understand was where they're coming from, what they're up against.
Yeah, oh, it was education for me too, because I don't know their business, and so certainly sitting down with them, with you and the haulers, I'm learning more about rubbish and hauling. We're learning about the rubbish business here, but I think that so long as everybody's at the table and we're talking, I think we can work out something that'll work for everybody here, hopefully, anyway.
Locking your doors at night, Bob?
Yeah, probably, but, so hopefully you're gonna know in a little while whether we're gonna go new or a refurbished unit or something like that too.
I've got my fingers crossed on the refurbished unit.
Yeah,
$70,000 is a lot of money.
yeah, and,
If you look at it as, well, that's the cost of a good pickup, or,
yeah,
which, okay, that's incidental almost,
yeah.
and, but at the same time, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, no, it is, but yeah, you're right though, I mean, those little dump trucks we have around town, I mean, those things are $100,000 for those little dump trucks. When you load them and you have plows and sanders and everything on them, it's amazing, these little trucks, never mind one of the big trucks, I don't know what they are now, I mean, they got $200,000 for a 6-wheel dump truck.
We buy one every 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, we replace each one in every 10 years.
10 years,
We got about 10 of them, so
Yeah, you're replacing one a year, or
just about.
yeah, so it's a kind of a set kind of thing there, but, all right, anything else you'd like to bring before the board? Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions of the first selectman? Economic Development Administrator, of course, you know that Sue left, and,
Begging your pardon.
Yeah.
You skipped over the farm tax abatement.
That's what we're talking about right now.
I'm sorry?
That's right
We're
now.
talking about Sue right now.
well, yeah, okay, no, go ahead. Yeah.
The abatement, I looked into that,
Oh, okay.
and I asked our assessor, I said, what do we really got? And, Staley's one who's expressed an interest. I said, but where else is it in town? And what does it represent to the town? Because when we start giving abatements, that means we're pushing the tax burden over on the homeowners. When they take Sunrise Park off the rolls, we lose $50,000 in taxes, somebody's got to make up for it. When Franklin comes off the rolls, somebody's got to make up for it, and it becomes a homeowner. And so I said, I want to know what the numbers are. What's the potential impact if every farm in town? And it wasn't bad.
Oh, it wasn't? Oh.
She came up with about $13,000 in taxes.
If all the farms wanted to?
About 8 or 9 farms involved.
Yeah.
1 or 2 that I look at and say, that's a farm.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that one.
Yeah, right.
They are getting an abatement right now.
Okay, yeah.
And so this is a little one, tiny.
Yeah.
But it's not as bad as it might be, so it's something that
We could consider without,
consider without, as being reasonable.
yeah,
And, what's the impact on downtown, and they have to own it. And that was with Franklin, that's what happened. As long as they leased the buildings, they pay taxes. The minute they owned it, they became exempt.
Mm.
yeah.
And suddenly shifted $50,000 in taxes over on the property owners. So you have to be very conscious of the impact we're gonna have.
Yeah, and certainly on farms in East Haddam, I was wondering what that kind of number could represent, because it could be, I don't know, it could be anything. I didn't have any clue whether it was 10,000 or 250,000. I didn't have a
It's a
clue.
very peculiar formula now. There's about 4 different categories.
Right.
And you can't figure out whether they all apply, or if you can have A or B, or, and I said, what, the assessor has to sort this one out.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, but it
I think
looked
it was
like
figured out with Staley's that it was gonna be, on one of them, it was gonna be,
$1,200, wasn't it?
Yeah.
no, I don't think it was even that much. It was like
it wasn't
$10 or
right now.
$20 on one, and then on the other one, it was like 700 or 600 and
You wound
something.
up being around 800 bucks.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot for Staley, so that's why Sue said, do you wanna go through all of what you have to go through to get this to the point? And he's like, yeah, sure. So, for all the paperwork that he had to fill out, so,
Well, and also there's a lot for the town to do in order to get the program
yeah.
It's gonna be very interesting to go through that.
Yeah,
process.
yeah, because it seemed to me there was a lot of steps in here to take
In a
it.
funny sort of way, I was disappointed there wasn't more farming in town.
Mhm. Yeah,
Well, I mean, this is a way, I mean, this, going along with the same thing that we were talking about before, I mean, this, if people knew that we had a tax abatement, and we were talking about the tax incentive program that nobody's taking advantage of, but we do have this for businesses, well, we have this for farms, so I mean, we're friendly to businesses, to farms, and, that means something, even if nobody takes advantage of it, it's still there saying that, guess what, we have these programs, we're open for business, we're open for farming, we're a friendly place, so that's the kind of thing, and that's why, this needs to get a little bit more maybe in line to be
And
equally
farming
as
is
friendly.
right in any zone within the town,
Mm-hmm.
from land use standpoint. I can remember when we were doing the plan of conservation development, I found that, and I was a little surprised by it,
Yeah,
that there are no exclusions within the town, farm anywhere.
yeah, and there's also the as of right to farm, and that says that, I've got the right to spread manure on my fields here, so don't go complaining just because you built a house next door.
you could have picked a different place to live.
Right. Like next
to a
door to
farm.
the Shagbark when he's
Yeah.
spreading that terrible stuff he does.
Yeah.
He has that chicken manure. Wow,
Isn't that something?
that stuff is so potent.
I heard about that for a week and a half.
I bet you do.
What is it?
Well, it's funny, we were all thinking that there's some propane leaking around here someplace. Well, the fire department was down around Town Tavern and over at Wrestling Cats, and the wind was coming that way, and we were all swearing, somebody's losing propane around here.
Not so much.
Yes. We got a good laugh out of it anyway. But, so anyway, so we'll take and see what whether we want to investigate the farm abatement program. We're gonna be the ones who have to promote it and basically bring it to the selectmen. And do we want to do that?
Sure, why not?
I don't see why not. I mean, if it's only 13 grand town-wide, that's not a huge burden.
And that's
Kind of-
provided they go through
They
what it
actually
takes
do
to
it.
get it.
Right.
If we can put it on the books that we have it,
Okay, all right, then,
start the process.
all right, let's take and see what that means, and then maybe we'll have
It's
a,
another draft of a letter.
yes. And then but we need to do
Number
a.
2 letter.
Number 2 letter, yeah, and to investigate the farm and tax abatement program.
Okay.
And go from there. All right, anybody else have any comments on that, on the farm
So do we need to
program?
make a motion to
Yes,
draft?
yes, we would need to make a motion that.
Make a motion that we draft a letter to the selectmen
Make a
to, and, further
tax.
explore
Investigate the
the
feasibility of.
feasibility of the farm tax abatement program. Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion made.
Yeah, and I second that.
You got a second for it? Any other comments on that? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Or I
and
meant
we
we're
will.
filling up his agenda for this month.
Yes.
You can have your water before you get to it, we got a lot of.
The tax incentive program, I've looked at this, and from what I see, the lower end of the scale is fine. I mean, that's only up to $25,000 in capital investment. The middle valuation, that's $500,000. And it's only basically good for 2 years. And my thought is that maybe we're not getting people participating because it's only for 2 years, and is it worth my while for 2 years? But it's 80% for the first year, so it's pretty sizable.
It's 80% of your tax burden?
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas if you get into basically the next category, there isn't any middle ground between the 500 and the 3 million. When you get to 3 million, then it goes out for 7 years. You start off at 80, and it goes down to 20 over 7 years. So that's well worth applying for and doing. But we don't have anybody investing 3 million in anything in town, and I don't see that happening, or it'll certainly be very rare. So my own thought is to see if we can do something between this 500 and 3 million, or to beef up the 500 a little bit more, to get a little,
bit
to
more
go a little
longevity.
longer.
4 years or 5 years?
Yeah, I think if we could get it to 5 years, but this stuff works off of state statutes. It isn't like the local towns can just go say what they want to say on this stuff. But that's something that I see as being possible for a small business in town to do, $500,000. And but I have been very surprised that we haven't gotten. There hasn't been a whole lot of people putting $500,000 in any real estate in East Haddam, but there have been a couple, and I've spoken to them, and they.
What
are
do they
definitely-
say as to why they don't do it?
Just more of a pain in the neck than it's worth. It's too short a period of time. Just for 2 years, is it worth doing? But I would like to maybe look at the possibility of pushing this out a little bit further, if the board is interested in doing something like this, and then see if it is allowable by state statute to do that, to make the program a little bit more interesting. If that's something the board would like me to do, I'll certainly do it. And certainly, hopefully, we'll have a new administrator on staff before too long, and that person can get into looking at it. But I think that I'd like to see a little more activity in this area. But I do like the idea that we have it on the books. I think it's a good program.
Well, we'll give them more incentive to spend the 500,000 in our town.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's the whole idea. We've got to be competitive with the other communities around here, and certainly.
Is this kind of tax abatement program available in other towns?
Yeah.
And is it set up the same way, or
They're different.
they're different?
And but I don't know. What if you're lower the 3 million, and can you put it in the middle section? Can you wiggle them around? I don't know how much wiggle room you can do and still stay within the state statutes. And but if
Probably worth looking into.
all right, why don't I look into it, and I'll come back to the board what I see, and then if it's something I think is possible to do, maybe when we get an administrator on staff, we can have that person take a look and see if we could draft something that.
Isn't that Sue?
Sue resigned. Sue Smith resigned.
She's in Oregon.
Oh,
She's
yeah,
gone.
She resigned, okay, you didn't get the letter. It went out to everybody that Sue resigned.
Wow.
Her husband got an opportunity to have a very good promotion with a
Utility, gas
utility
company.
companies in Oregon. So she's actually put their house on their market here, and they've already taken off for
Wow.
Oregon.
That's a big disappointment.
Oh,
goodness.
yeah. Sue did a wonderful
Wonderful.
job for the town of East Haddam, and I think she was,
Too bad.
yeah, she did an excellent job, and she worked up to the day she was leaving. I give her a lot of credit. Most people would say, "Okay, I'm leaving. I'm out of here. I don't need any more jobs."
Right.
And she was working on her way out the door, and so yeah, so we have started the process to. I don't know if you've noticed, there's some ads out, and Linda's put some ads out to get some feelers as to somebody to replace the administrator for us.
It's gonna be tough.
Yes.
Great personality.
Yeah, yeah. No, did a great job, and so I think that we definitely had a very good person
Right.
working for the town of East Haddam here. So, but hopefully we will find somebody who does a good job for us too. And so I will look into that. I will come back to the board and just give you a little idea as to what I find, and then see if we want to go further with it and go from there. But overall, it's a good program, and I think that probably what I'd like to see is how Deep River does it. Deep River has been probably the most active with their tax abatement program, and they've had it for, oh gosh, good 15 years or so, and they use it, and it's a very competitive program.
They used it for Tri-Town.
They brought that with Tri-Town, yeah. When Tri-Town left here,
That was a
they
big
got a
loss for
very
us.
attractive tax incentive program down there.
Right.
And they've used it for all their industrial use, all that stuff that's around Exit 3 down there. Most of that is all done under that incentive program. And they're still building down there. Matter of fact, they've opened up, one of the East Haddam contractors are actually down there taking and working right behind the railroad track now, and they're gonna be building a facility down there and under that. And so and that's right on the line there between the Essex and the Deep River, and so if you're right over the line, you're in the Deep River section, and they have the most attractive incentive program. But interesting that we have one of our good contractors are down there and building a sizable building down there. So anyway, we'll take a look at that and see what we can come up with, and I'll come back to the board with that. The tourist committee, Mike, could you just give us a little breakdown as to how the celebration went?
Yeah, I think overall it was, in spite of the weather, it
Yeah.
was a very good turnout. I think we're down in number, I wasn't able to get the exact numbers from Jess, but I think we're down a handful of vendors from last year. There was probably 5 or 6 that just didn't show up, probably because of the weather. It kind of got off to a little bit of a slow start. We had some issues with the electricity at Heritage Park, and we had to send for a generator to get the band going. But I mean, I think overall, it was, well received. It was a good turnout with the people that showed up, and I don't think the weather hurt the turnout all that much. So I think overall it was definitely a success.
Yeah, it certainly looked at,
Spite of the mud.
yeah, I was gonna say, the ground was definitely wet. It was, where we had our table, it was about that
was
much
squishy.
water. It was definitely a wet area out there. And, but I think that, it certainly looked good, and,
Yeah.
and I think there was a case where people, were certainly, are around
Yeah,
and.
absolutely. I think it was huge having the shuttle buses this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a
We
great
didn't
idea.
Have to scramble for parking and.
Yeah, and parking is tight.
It's tight there.
It's
yeah.
very tight, and I think that is probably the biggest
I think that was the
limitation there.
biggest, yeah.
The
And I think-
road being very narrow right there, and you don't want to be out on that state highway right there.
Nope,
There were
definitely
people that were parking out there, and boy, that is a place you don't want to
Right.
have people getting out of a car.
Mhm.
And Great Hillwood Road, I mean, that's so narrow up through there, that was, so parking is probably the,
Parking is a premium.
yeah, yeah, I mean, it used to be when you parked out in the field, it was
Yeah,
one thing,
yeah.
but,
But
That's a tough time of year. I mean,
is,
every
it is.
year we go into that event with, I don't know if the field's
Doing
gonna
a
be
lot of
dry
this.
enough
yeah.
to park cars on
but
it.
That field was laid out for parking, looked like to me. It was just too wet.
Too wet.
Well, no, they won't, we're not parking in there anymore.
No.
I don't think
There
they'll
were
allow us
stakes
to
laid
park
out
in there
for-
anymore.
no, we're not allowed
Yeah,
to park
yeah.
there anymore.
Yeah, because basically the whole, the land up towards the senior center is, you get higher land and a little drier up there, so we used to park up there, but I think that now they don't want parking in that whole area.
So parking was an issue?
Oh, big time,
Yeah.
big
There
time.
wasn't
It
any
usually
problems other than
is.
being awkward?
Yeah,
parking on
no,
the
it was a
sidewalk?
problem, it was a
So
problem.
is there any solutions to that?
There was this,
Pardon?
With the amount of water you had, I
Yeah.
told Jess to keep the cars off the field.
absolutely.
Oh, you had to?
You had to. I mean, it was.
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And I talked to Mike afterwards, it was not torn up. Yes.
No fire
a certain
trucks
amount
got
of
stuck
effort,
this year?
To straighten it out, but it wasn't bad.
Oh, good, good.
think-
I was worried that Mike was gonna be upset.
That was my number one concern. I talked to him
Yeah.
Friday night,
Oh, good.
ahead of that rain, and I said, you gotta keep them off the
Mhm.
field.
So,
And
so
that
the
was that.
situation was, there was gonna be parking there, but the rain made it
No,
impossible.
there never was gonna be any parking other than the senior center lot,
That was the point.
okay? That was the plan for the parking. There were no cars on Heritage Park. We had, the old lumberyard parking lot and the elementary
And how did that
parking
work
lot
out?
with shuttle buses, and it worked out very
It
well. They made a circuit.
It
to
did.
put- Yeah, and
And they,
I
didn't
think
they pick it up at the elementary school too for
Yes.
like anybody who was at,
that baseball.
Little League games?
Yep.
So there was a couple of Little League people walking around, which was good because that was
Yeah.
a concern that a lot of people were gonna be up there playing Little League and they wouldn't be able to get to it, but
It worked out.
yeah, it kinda worked out
Shuttle
nice.
bus you had to,
Yes.
so I imagine on a nice day, 2 shuttle buses
Would be, yeah, optimal, but
Optimal.
that night, I think with the shuttle bus that we had this year, the attendance was the same, if not a little bit better than what we had last year, because we didn't have that shuttle bus, and we didn't have the parking.
Is that an
So I think a lot of
expensive,
people just,
how expensive is a
I
shuttle?
wanna say it was about $400 or $500 offhand, give or
Per bus?
take,
It is,
for the bus, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that does take a big nip out
It's a
of,
big hit,
out
yeah,
of
yeah,
it, that's
for-
for sure.
Mhm.
And, so, but it was, I think it's gonna be
Gotta have it.
necessary because
You
I don't
have to.
think you can figure on ever parking on
No.
that field.
No.
The chances of digging that
just-
field up are really
Yeah, I
good.
mean, just last year, when we did have people parking on the field, it was a mess. I mean, the fire truck got stuck.
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah, so I think you really have to figure you're
Yeah.
not gonna park on that field.
Absolutely.
Because, and the senior center is just, there is so little
yeah, it's just
parking
one of the
there
parking.
that,
I mean,
that
there was
really didn't
somebody
amount
that
to.
actually got stuck on the lawn of the senior center too, so.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but I think the shuttle bus is definitely
You bet.
key in the
Yeah,
way to
it's
go.
really, I guess, the only way you can really utilize that, because without, there is really isn't any other alternative.
Yeah,
As,
right.
as I can see, so that's the way in which you're gonna have to move people around to do that. But, all right, have anything else that you would like to bring up, or everything that, I mean, as far as, the cooperation you got from economic development, was that all worked
Yeah,
okay?
everything worked out well.
Is
yeah,
the
yeah.
association felt like everything was
Yep,
going okay?
absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
certainly keep us in tune with that,
Sure.
that, we wanna make sure that we support the business community as much as we can.
Right,
And, so if there's something that we can do, by all means, put the flag up and we'll certainly try to.
We're gonna be talking soon about the Business Expo
Okay.
again.
Okay, great, we'll see what we can, come up with.
All right,
Mike, thank you.
thank you.
The EDC and the PZC subcommittee on looking at the business uses on the Lower Town Street, Route 82. I went to Planning and Zoning at their last meeting and asked if they wanted to participate in that. And I was very pleased that they had two members who immediately volunteered that they wanted to be a part of looking into that. It is in the Plan of Conservation and Development that we look at the Lower Town Street as to what potential it has for business use and how to do that. It seems like they're looking at is utilizing as many of the existing buildings and basically adapting them for a reuse to a more of a business use, if there's parking and that sort of thing. But that's what the committee would basically be doing. And so I was very pleased that Planning and Zoning very much wanted to get on board with EDC and participate in that. And what I wanted to do, and they've asked me, is to come up with some kind of a schedule of meetings. So that, is there any night that we're talking about a 7:30 meeting in an evening that work for EDC members that have volunteered for this? Any night that are bad?
I've got Cub Scouts on Tuesdays.
Okay, all right. Tuesdays are not good because Planning and Zoning meets on
Zoning meets, yeah.
Tuesdays. So Tuesdays is probably not one we'd want to use.
And the zoning board of appeals meets once a month.
Are they a Tuesday? Okay, so definitely we don't want to use Tuesdays, but,
But whenever that is, I'd have to get out my calendar again.
yeah. Would a Wednesday or a Thursday be better for
Thursday would be better.
Thursdays? Okay, all right. And I think we're probably talking, once or twice a month, maybe for, the first meetings to get going, and then maybe after that, it'll be a little more research on it. But I think maybe for the first little while, it'll be a couple of meetings there. But, all right, any particular, the second week of the month, the third, the fourth, anything
Third.
jump out? The third, okay,
Because the second week I have a meeting on Tuesday, or on Wednesday.
okay, all right. All right, let's think then that it'll be
Trying to spread them out,
yes, try to get one night a week off of anyway. All right, so we're gonna talk about Thursday nights, the third week of the month, and then we'll find one other day in there after we have a meeting when we're all around the table. And so it'll be the four of us
Oh,
and two.
except that's RTC night. Ah, shoot.
The third one is?
Yeah,
Okay, let's not use that one then.
do the second, I guess.
Um,
And I think that's East Hampton RTC.
What,
I don't know, maybe
Thursday?
Thursday night, it's not a good night.
Well, wanna
Oh,
try
my
Wednesdays?
gosh.
How
Sure,
about Wednesdays?
all right. But the second Wednesday is Village Stroll night. So
Well, that's just one evening
Yeah.
now. We can work around one evening.
Yeah.
And what I would like to do is just get an organizational meeting going, and then we can,
Yeah,
the six of us can talk around on the table and see how we want to set it up. But, so that, what I'd like to do is just get, so the
yeah,
second.
so May 22nd, which is the third Wednesday,
Yeah.
that could work. To get us all together one night. or
May
the-
22nd?
Yep, and the following Wednesday is May 29th.
Okay,
So you
Okay.
could look at either one of those.
okay. Let me see if that would work for P and Z members, but let's take and figure on getting together on May 22nd then. And we'll have an organizational meeting, and then from there, we'll see if we can't come up with a permanent schedule.
We're right
Did you
here.
say 7:30?
Well, yeah, 7:30, and it'll be, I'll have to check with Linda, but it'll be here unless we move it one of the other rooms, somewhere around here in the building anyway. But I'll find out from Linda what,
And who all is on that? Is that Mike?
Mike,
and
yourself,
you,
myself.
And Jim?
Jim is
Okay.
on.
I just
All
wanna
right,
write that
and,
down. Mike, Jim. Irene.
and we'll see what we can come up with for a little committee here working together with P and Z. And I think it's important having P and Z on it. They're really they're the ones who can do something with it. We can't. We can only make a recommendation, but a subcommittee can, with their members on it, certainly goes a long way towards getting input and also keeping them informed as to what's the committee is doing. And I think that way we can make sure that we're staying in line with what planning and zoning would like us to do and come up with. All right, the proposed expansion of the industrial area, basically, this is, we're talking about a shag bark. They are in planning and zoning right now for their 5,000 square foot addition. That's right next to the
When's that meeting for them?
It'll be this coming Thursday, so it's the fourth Thursday of the month.
Okay.
No, it isn't, it'll be the second, because it'll be, we're the only second of the
Right.
month, so it's the
Second
second
Thursday.
Tuesday of May.
Tuesday,
Yes, that's Tuesday for P and Z.
okay.
And they're in for public hearing. So if anybody wanted to say anything, the public hearing is still open. They had one public hearing at the last meeting. It all seemed to go well. They did have neighbors there who were concerned about parking, but I think that Shagbark has plenty of room for parking, so they could show that they have all on-site parking. And so, but certainly helpful if any business people came and supported that application.
What was the date on that?
Next Tuesday is the 8th?
7th,
7th,
Tuesday, May 7th.
so it's May the 7th. And those are at 8 o'clock, and they're in this room. And that's Shagbark's addition, and they are also looking and working on doing a commercial area or industrial area all around the power lines. And so that is gonna take a little longer, but they're in it, and they've got engineers looking at it. So we'll see what comes from that, but seems like a real practical use for that area over there underneath those power lines. Anybody have any questions or thoughts or anything on that? Chatham Health,
Jim?
Jim, you have any
I
comments?
attended the meeting this month. The new manager of Chatham Health, Russ, was there.
Okay.
My first impression is he seems very good and on top of his game.
Great.
He covered several items with the committee. I don't think any of them involved our town, best I could hear.
Okay.
On there.
So you were favorably impressed with their new director? Oh, good.
I talked to him afterwards. He said he was gonna be here tonight.
Huh?
I guess that was a different plan.
We are inviting him, but basically it's going to be in June, the June meeting.
Yeah,
We've
and
invited him
Okay.
too.
regarding that, it says that Russ can't attend, or no, Russ can attend, but Andy can't for the June 6th meeting. Did we want to reschedule that meeting with them and have them come in July, or could we do it without Andy?
I mean, obviously, I would like to meet Russ, let Russ meet us. I think,
come anymore?
I think we should have him come, and if Andy could make it, that's great. If he can't, then fine and dandy.
We've seen him before.
Yes, we've seen Andy, but I think that it's real important that
Yeah,
we get to
okay.
know, and I think the working relationship here has certainly improved greatly. It seems like basically Don is working in this building, I think. Emmett, could you guess?
Yeah, we
Is
have
Don
Don.
gonna be working here now?
That's his intent.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
cool.
Yes, he's the one who's.
Great.
He's a great sanitarian.
Oh, yes,
I think that he's gonna be a real asset for us.
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah, he's an excellent sanitarian, and, so, he's tough. He is tough in the field, though.
Oh, he knows his stuff. Do you want me to send an email off to Russ just to remind him and
Yes.
thank him for being available, and we're looking forward to seeing him?
Yes,
Okay.
and that would be great, and, because I think that, basically, I'd like to,
Thank you.
bless you, you know, have a good conversation with him, and also, if Don is actually going to be in East Haddam, should we
Ask
invite
him.
Don to
Sure.
come to this meeting too?
Sure.
Emmett, would
Yeah.
that be okay with,
I don't think there's a problem with that.
okay, all right. And,
I don't know if he'll make it or not, but.
yeah, but I think it would be
Yeah, send
nice if
Don.
we invited him. And,
Extend the invite to
so
Don.
that, because I think that, you know, whenever anybody is new in the office here, I think they like to know who the players are out here and who the boards are. And so, okay,
Okay.
so it'll be, we'll invite Russ, and he said he could make it, from my understanding,
Yeah.
for the June 6th meeting.
Correct.
And then we'll ask Don if he can make it, and we could just have a little conversation with him about that. Any other thoughts on Chatham Health? Everybody's all set? Okay. I think that from what I see out there, from what I hear from the contractors out there, services have improved. So I think that we're definitely working in the right direction, and I think that if we kind of keep the relationship working here, I think Jim going to meetings, I think is good for us to know what's going on, and certainly, you know, Emmett can come back and, or we can relay anything that we need to do through Emmett to get to their board and get on the table. But from what I hear from the contractors, Don is the one who's been in the field lately, and certainly everybody has a lot of respect for Don Mitchell, and so I think that that's good. If Don's going to be East Haddam's rep here, I think that's a good addition to it. The Plan of Conservation and Development, I've been attending most of the meetings of P&Z on that, and I think that most of our this is what it looks like. This is drafts. This is what's basically on the table right now. I'd say a lot of the things that we have requested are in there. They did remove one that I thought was important that they not remove. That basically this is you know, the Malone and McBroom come up with a draft. You know, they take all the information from everybody, then they come back with a draft as to what they feel it represents what everybody's interests are and what the comments have been and what everything. And on the last one, we came back with is trying to, on just the economic development part of it, I don't get into the other parts of it much, but the economic development part, trying to come up with a little bit more positive look at our three commercial areas. The Moodus area, it was, I thought, kind of a lot of negatives, saying that, you know, most of the commercial properties aren't attractive looking, that they need to take and have landscaping, they need to take and have new facades, they need to do something if they want to be in the commercial business here of making these properties look better. And then they put in a picture of the old Cumberland Farms down there. You know, too many things were like negative. There's also positives going on here. I mean, I wanted to see a picture of Dutch's, what he did with the, basically the old Brownell Mill. I mean, that to me is, you know, something that looks attractive and looks, he did a great job with that building. It's all painted, it looks nice. So instead of having a picture of the old Cumberland that looks terrible, let's have a picture of what Dutch did and looks great. But they seem to want to show that it needs work. So I'm still going to push that we get some pictures, and so I'm.
Heritage Park is Moodus, and Heritage Park's got lights and a nice walking path now, and it's got a
Yeah, but
couple of
that's
new
not the
signs and a
business,
bench.
they have basically.
It's all
except
business?
Economic development is basically the storefronts and the business stuff. They've got other places where they'll have, you know, the
Okay.
community-related things, which would be the
Yeah.
Heritage Park and that. But I thought in the business part of it, I thought that, you know, you've got basically. I mean,
Anino, she expanded her building.
Yes, right.
That's another one.
Yes, yeah, and that would be another new construction that went on, and I think that building is all occupied, as far as I know.
I think so.
And,
Yeah.
and also the doctor's offices, that just changed hands, and,
Yep.
and that's a very attractive building. So my thought is that I was gonna get a couple of photographs of, I thought, some of the positive things that were going on out there. So if they still wanna keep the Cumberland in there, that's fine, but I would like to see also, a couple of the better ones, and,
We have this new municipal business building in Moodus too.
well, that's all in here. But, so anyway, so that was one of the things, to basically upgrade, and also, around the Shagbark area, they didn't have any pictures at all, so basically, I'm getting a couple of pictures of that area down there. And Goodspeed, I mean, Julius, I mean, right now, you couldn't have anything that looks any more gorgeous
Attractive.
than what she has down there, with all those flowers and what she's done with that building. I mean, it's just the eye catcher when you get into the center of East Haddam. So if that's all okay with everybody, that was my thought, that we could basically get some photographs, and basically show some of the things that are being done well, and just to make it, brighten it up a little bit. And if Julius doesn't brighten this pretty drab book up,
Well,
nothing
make sure you
well.
get in there like tomorrow to get that picture, because
Yeah,
the
'cause
tulips
they're gonna be gone,
are
right?
going, they're going
Yeah,
by right
they're gonna be
now.
gone, all right,
They're looking a little peaked.
all right, and,
Not looking good as they did last week.
no, I know it. I noticed today that they were doing that. One of the other things that we have had in the plan of conservation and development is the expansion of the sewer line from basically the village up to the Four Corners area. And that was in the previous plan of conservation and development. We worked on that jointly with P&Z. Basically, it didn't go anywhere because there isn't any funding out there to do it. And I think that there has been negatives and positives about it from P&Z. So I think there's some aspects of it that they don't care for, is to make that more of a commercial area. It seems like from what we see going on, there's a lot of activity around that area between what Staley is doing. You've got Shagbark is putting on 5,000 square feet. You got Scully is going to be putting in a new building over there. He's before.
Is that where that lot is being cleared?
That's Scully.
Scully.
And anybody who hasn't been down on Petticoat Lane to see what Staley's are doing, have you been down there at all?
There recently.
Yeah, he's got a
They
lot
are
of fields in
doing
there.
a fabulous job down there. They have an old barn. I mean, it's an 1850, 60, 70 barn. Beautiful, beautiful barn. And they're making that into their tasting room.
No kidding.
And parking lots down there. They're putting in septic systems down there. They're really doing quite a job. And I am very impressed with what they're doing. And I think it's gonna be a huge asset for East Haddam, huge. And so I think that it's something we would want to keep in. They moved to basically remove it from this next 10-year period of time for doing any expansions on that sewer system. And I don't know where the board sits on that. I don't like to rule it out, and I think that down the road, there's certainly chances of getting grant money. If it's not part of this plan of conservation and development, you're not gonna get any grant money. That's the way the grants are written, where it must be part of your plan of conservation and
So is
development.
it not in there?
it's in here now, basically, the contractor has it in here.
I'd say
Planning and
leave it.
zoning, moved to take it out of there. And so I think we should just write a letter saying that, well, we think you should
Leave it
keep
in.
it in there. And leave it there, just so that we have that option out there, is if, I mean, I see what's going on the other side of the river over there. I mean, you know, they're bringing in water over there. They've got an 8-inch main that is 50 feet from the river. That main could pop over here real easy. And I think that it's something that we need infrastructure. And every other town around us has infrastructure. You go to Colchester, you go to East Hampton, they're all sewered, they're all public water. Chester, which is kind of what I'd like to work around, I mean, they have public sewers.
How did they do it?
They had a very strong, well, Chester had a very strong business person there who basically could get it through the town and get a sewers put in the center of Chester 25 years ago. And so I think that it's lots of times, but Colchester, I mean, the village has been sewered for 40 years probably. And East Hampton is expanding their sewers widely. Deep River is now all sewered, so all the commercial areas are all sewered, all public water. They've got natural gas. So
Who does?
Deep River.
Oh, do they really? Wow.
Deep River brought up natural gas. They brought it all the way up from Westbrook.
Did they? Wow.
They brought natural gas up there. I'm so impressed with what they have been able to do on Main Street. And but I think that, you know,
Well, I think
just
it's
hate.
worth leaving it in there for the possibility of finding grant money and getting it done, because if we take it out, then there's no
We're gonna,
sense.
right, we're not
So
gonna be able
leave
to do
it,
it.
leave it in.
We can stop thinking about it.
Yes, right,
Right.
right. And I just hate to not have that option if grant money was coming around. And that's what they're talking on the federal level. They're talking about infrastructure. So infrastructure, I think, is what we're gonna find in the next 5, 6, 7 years. Because that seems to be, even the governor is talking infrastructure. But certainly on the federal level, they're definitely talking. And when you basically talk to the planning agencies, they say something like this is something that you can get, because this would be like a $5 million job. And they said, you know, that kind of money you can get. You know, you want to put in a sewer system for the city of Hartford, and, you know, the $100 million, it slows you down a lot. But every town's going to get a certain amount of money. And so I would just recommend that we write a letter to P&Z saying that we would like it to stay in there.
Letter number 3.
Yes.
But is that something that the board feels is
I
something we'd
see
like to
there
do?
would be a need for it in the future. I don't see a need for it today. But to keep it in there does make sense.
Well, we're talking
Grant
10
money.
years. Yeah.
Right, it does make sense.
Joe, you have any comments on it?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all to lock us out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We should always keep doors open. It
Right.
seems like it
Yeah.
doesn't cost us anything.
Yeah.
Right.
And then why not keep the door open?
Right.
And what if we did? What if we could get $5 million for a sewer grant at one time? Fine, you know. And equally, we should be keeping the door open for water. We should be looking for grants for this. And water, to take it and get that over into the village and have fire protection. You know, you can't have.
Do we need to add water to that as well?
Yeah, I think we should always have, it's basically infrastructure, and that would be sewers and water. And,
So should that be in the letter, sewers and water?
yeah, let's put it in the letter. And I think that, again, these things are always based on grants. And look at the one in Haddam, it's 100% grants. All the business people over there are getting city water.
Free water.
And it's all been done with basically a grant. I mean, that was fabulous.
Huge.
And it's a big advantage for East Haddam. We would never be able to get city water. I mean, but it's sitting down there in the parking lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a real gift for the town of East Haddam to have it over there. Oh, yeah, okay. All right, so you'll,
Yes.
just
I
a
will
letter for
draft
us?
a letter.
Oh, good, I'm glad you were sitting right next to me tonight to my right-hand side.
I'm gonna call Sue in a minute here.
Yeah, I know it.
So,
All right, the,
Is that 3 plus a memo? Wasn't there a memo in there or something?
no memos, I don't do memos.
oh,
just
let's have a vote on that, because we need a vote for
Oh.
that. Somebody make a motion for that.
Motion.
We move that we write a letter to P and Z,
Yeah, and I second that.
second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous vote, let's roll with that one. Okay, moving on to our very popular business of the month. This has been, it's really actually fun to go out on these things and talk to the business people, and Emmett's always there, and they're really so well received. The business people really like it, and that picture that we got basically of Eric Anderson at the Sugar Shack, I saw him there at the Celebrate, and I said that was the best one we ever did, when you had the kids in it. It was at the Sugar Shack. I thought
Fun
that
stuff.
was
That was
so
cool, yeah.
good. That was my favorite one of all of them, and I miss it. And I didn't get it, but I really think that was so good. And Eric said, yeah, it meant a lot to them. To can be recognized. They're such a small business, you know, I thought, you know, sure, you're recognizing, you know, Dutch Oil Company, you know, it's one of our biggest ones. So, but certainly to take and have a little business, and I think we need to do that, you know, some of the time.
Occasionally,
Yeah,
sure.
pick somebody who's just a little guy out
cottage
there.
business,
And you could see he was so happy that he was recognized for his business. He said he had a great day there too.
Yeah.
He said he sold a lot of maple syrup.
So I did go Wednesday morning and grab the sign from him, and the two boys were out at the bus stop, and they were wondering who I was, pulling up to the thing and taking the sign. I said, "Hi guys." Yeah, I know. I said, "Hey, it's May 1st," and the little brother looks at the big brother and says, "Oh yeah, it's May 1 today." You know. I said, "So I got to take the sign to the next business, okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, no, okay." So
Oh, so you
I
were
checked in with
authorized.
the boys. The boys
All
said
right,
it was
good,
okay.
Good, we need authorization.
Yep, so we dropped that over at the bank at Liberty, and they were pleasantly surprised when they came to work that day, because I did this kind of early, that they got
sign was
they
there.
drove in and there was the sign. So I told them to go ahead and move it, you know, I sent her an email and said to, you know, to Jen to go ahead and move the sign wherever you like it best, you know.
Yeah,
So-
I don't care, they put it inside, outside, wherever they
Yep,
wanna put it.
Exactly, and that's what I told them,
Because
so
they'll
they're
do
very
it.
excited.
Did
And we
you
should
send
see
that
the-
into?
Yeah, we should see
East
it
Haddam
in this upcoming week's
Week's
paper.
paper, okay.
So that should come in, so we're all set there, and then,
Do we do anything else than put the sign in front of the business? Do we give them like a plaque? I mean, would it be
We give them
worthwhile to
a-
look into
yeah, we
giving
give,
them a plaque or something that says? you
we
know-
give them a certificate.
Right,
Yes.
right.
When
And
we
they're up to them
basically
whether they frame it and
taking
put
a
it up
picture-
somewhere.
But if they had like a plaque to put in their business that was,
That they can put in a frame.
yeah.
Yeah.
but- Okay.
Yeah, we do give them the certificate saying they were, you know, selected as the business of the month.
And then
we
a
don't
write-up
put it
in the
in a-
newspaper.
Yeah.
Yep, they get the write-up and then they get the sign.
I just didn't know if they had anything physical to hang on to after the sign
Yeah, just
takes
the-
off.
Well, they do, they have that certificate.
Yep,
And most of them say, you know, they're gonna put it
Yeah,
up
they
in
frame
there.
it and they put it up.
Yeah.
I've seen it in a couple of them, so
Yeah.
yeah.
They can frack it.
Yeah.
They can plaque it if they want. There you go.
All right, so what we need to do is to take and nominate
Get
somebody
somebody else.
for the month of June.
So a couple that we were talking about last month, we talked about Fox Hop Yard.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one we talked about was Balix, because they do the farmer's market. And I'm not sure when that starts up, but that should be starting up pretty soon. Is it May?
Is it May?
Yeah. So those are a couple that were on our list from before.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if anybody else has any possibilities, thoughts.
You know, at some point, I think Eddie's Auto Body would be a good one. I mean, they're very community oriented. Certainly, Eddie's a good one, but I think either one of those, I think, would be great, because,
Were we talking about doing Fox Hop Yard last month,
Yeah,
then we
we
said
did.
this month was better because it was more
Yeah.
into
their season, yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
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 Well,
Well, I make a nomination for Fox Hop Yard.
okay, all right. And any other nominations to throw on the floor? Because I think that's a great one. They've been doing a lot of advertising, and
Yeah.
they've been,
And
from what I see out there,
Mhm.
their menus have really,
Yeah.
they've jacked it up out there.
Yeah.
Because before I didn't.
Honestly, I
feel it was
think it's the
great.
best restaurant in town.
Oh, okay, but,
personal
I
opinion.
think they've got a good chef out there now who's
Yeah.
really doing a good job, so.
And they did say that they wanna be more involved in the community, so anything that we can do over here to, you
To
know,
help
get
that.
them.
Yeah, because they're kind of really out in the hinterlands, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
People kind of forget they're there, so maybe they need a little notoriety and,
I'll second the motion.
okay.
You know what we're talking about?
Fox Hopper, never heard of it.
You wouldn't know anything about that area. Someday you should take a ride out there. It's kind of interesting country out there. All right, we got a nomination for Fox Hop Yard Restaurant and
Four.
Golf Course for the, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we've got it. And
I think maybe a future nomination could be
Yeah,
Cold Spring
give it
Farm.
someone a walk
'Cause, I
every
mean, she
day.
does a lot for us, she does a lot for the business association, she runs the,
oh, Jess.
Jess,
Yeah.
yeah, she runs the farmer's market,
Has she not been it yet?
so
Okay.
You're right.
I think
You're right.
that
I
would
think,
be.
I think it would be nice to
Yeah.
nominate, because certainly there's
Yeah.
Stay
a
on.
very active
She's
person in
involved
the
in
community here. Yes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna basically, okay, what-
Nominating Cold Spring Farm in the future for a business of the month.
no. So, I was gonna basically, write something to Sue Smith and just, tell her what how much we appreciated her being a part of our board and putting that together. And, if, the board would like me to do that, I'll certainly
Yeah,
do that.
absolutely.
Maybe we can all sign it next time.
Yes, that's what I thought it would do. I'll make something up and then if
So
we have-
Bob's gonna write a letter.
I'll write, well, I'll get one of these letters, I'll write that one.
I'll
That's
second
me-
that.
That'll be short, but I think it would be nice if we all signed it.
Yeah, it would.
And, so that, because she was really, very much a
Unbelievable.
part of this and,
Yeah.
and she
Should we
really,
send her something?
well, I think she's living in a tent right now, so.
She's on her fifth wheel.
Yes. So.
Well, I'm sure it's a beverage or something.
Hand warmer.
Might be so.
Snowing up
Extra
there.
soft.
Probably,
Snow
yeah.
shovel.
They'll be out, yeah, listen to her snow shovel. I don't know which side of the mountain she's on, but she's on the snow side of the mountain.
Just a real quick, before we close up, is that the visitors guides, the new ones came in. And so they're in the office and they're gonna be distributed all over the place. What I was gonna do was take it to the area campgrounds, Gillette Castle, take it down to the Essex Steam Train. River boats weren't on the list, but I thought that we should add those, and there's a
No,
couple
I've taken
more.
them to them.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So
Yeah.
we'll take it to the river boats, and we'll take them to a couple of the bed and breakfasts over in Haddam, the one that we have still here in East Haddam, and I also thought of some of the yacht clubs.
Oh, okay. No,
So
we've
we
never
could do
put
that,
any at the
yeah.
yacht
So
clubs.
at the yacht clubs, there's Middlesex, there's Essex Corinthian, so we could send it down there, because, when they get to dry land, they may wanna come up somewhere where it'd be kinda interesting to go, as opposed to just walking around
Okay.
the yacht clubs, and especially the guys over in Haddam, there's nowhere to go, but they could come over to East Haddam, it might be kinda fun,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
So I thought of some of those, and then obviously all the retail businesses in East Haddam will get them. And
I could get some down to the old Saybrook Chamber again and
Okay.
that connection with the visitor center
Chambers.
in New Haven.
okay, perfect.
Yep, let's get those covered down there.
Can
Yeah.
I pick up a few of those and take with me?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't have a key though.
I don't
That's the
have a
only
key
thing.
either.
We
I have to get through
We'll have to
Linda.
get in there to get them, and then,
What I'll do is I'll stop in, I'll talk to Linda, I'll get the key, and I'll get a couple of boxes, and then I'll divide it up around, and
Okay.
so everybody can shoot a few to wherever they can put some, and so let me get a couple of boxes, and so we can start to get them out.
Perfect.
And we'll go from there,
okay.
and, okay.
And then, what I'll do is I'll send you this list so that you can see that if I were dropping them off at campgrounds and stuff, I'm gonna need like a box apiece for these.
Oh, you don't need a whole box.
To the campgrounds?
No.
She
We
had down
basically,
that she gave 5 boxes to Gillette.
Gillette takes a lot,
Yeah.
but basically Wolf's Den, I usually give them, maybe 50 to 100 flyers.
Okay.
And then basically as they use them, we'll go back.
Oh, we'll
or
go
they
back,
can-
okay.
And because if we give out too many, then they just seem to get lost. And,
Okay.
and I wanna make these gotta last us a year, so I wanna, you know, just
Okay.
kinda push them out, yeah, I'm pretty
Weston,
sure,
Grandview,
I'm pretty
Salem,
sure
Witch
they
Meadow.
use a lot of them.
Nelson's, Markham Meadows, these two over in East Hampton, we didn't,
We didn't supply those, or I didn't anyway, I don't
yeah,
know
we
whether.
should do those.
Yeah.
Little
Matter of
City
fact,
is over in Haddam.
Mhm. But,
Yeah.
those I've never, given, Wolfden, I think I probably gave them 100. Grandview goes through easy 100, they'll go through them a lot.
Okay.
Staley's goes through a lot of them.
Okay.
Opera House doesn't use that many. I don't know,
I was thinking rather than giving them to the Opera House, because those people are coming in and out, they're going to dinner and they're leaving. What about the housing? Like, can you get them in the housing? You know, like,
yeah,
you know,
they don't
and you
have
don't need
any.
a lot, you need like
No,
5 or
but they
6
don't
of
have
them,
like a
but,
bulletin board or something where, you know, the Opera House obviously does.
yeah,
And,
so maybe there's a way to get them, I could contact them, and I gotta
Alright.
contact them anyways about the stroll. And I could ask them, you know, we've got these new visitor guides, and how can you get them to your casts?
Yep. And you know, like,
Universal Studio.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
I mean, the
You
Gelston
know, I mean, you don't
House,
need a lot of them, you know.
Gelston
50 of
House
them.
goes through quite a few too, cause
Yeah.
I usually throw 100 in there.
Okay,
And
Okay, good.
then they seem to, you know, be back looking for more, so they seem to go through them.
okay,
But the campgrounds definitely use them.
yeah.
That seems, and they'll use them to.
To come out, oh, sure.
Patronize our businesses, it's not to look
Absolutely.
at the picture.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
to get
yeah,
out
yeah.
and spend money in our
Sure.
businesses here.
Yep,
Is Sanibel's on there?
Sanibel, nope.
No, no,
But, I mean,
I don't think I ever.
not all
did.
the businesses are on here,
Right.
just, but the big ones are on there, but, I mean, we can hit up all the, you know,
Yeah.
the businesses, you know, Two Rats and Cats, Town Tavern, you know,
Rats and Cats use a lot.
yeah.
They take a lot of them because that was an easy one. So I can refill those. And again,
Yeah.
he doesn't want too many there, but I throw 100 there, and
then we come
and
back
then
and
in the
bring
back
them,
that
yeah.
you know I go in there for a coffee or something. I can see when they get down.
Right,
So
all right,
All
so
right.
I'll check in with you on the visitor's guide, so we can get in
yep,
there.
I'll
and
get
them.
those. I'll try to get them tomorrow. If I don't get them tomorrow, I'll definitely get them on Monday.
Okay,
And because they close here, but Linda's usually here after noon time anyway. So.
How about the new package store? When we gonna drop off, how many?
Oh,
when we
gosh,
gonna
see how
drop
many
off
that
some there?
place takes
When?
anyway.
When we gonna drop off some there?
Yeah, June the 15th.
June the 15th?
Yes, that's the target
Okay,
date.
congratulations.
That's target date.
Yeah?
Public comment, anybody in the public like to
finally,
mention anything?
Yeah, my name is Mike Callahan, and I've had some thoughts about, I guess, reinvigorating East Haddam. And if I think about it conceptually, you know, in the 40s and 50s, this was basically a resort community. There were a lot of city people that came up and spent time at the camps or the lodges and what have you. And maybe that's a way to reinvent the town, concentrate on tourism and the natural resources that are here. And maybe with a marketing firm, develop tourist packages. So you have a tourist package for the arts. So people that like theater, you know, there's the Goodspeed or the Normal Trellis Theater, or art galleries in Chester and Old Lyme and wherever. You know, for people that are into golf, you've got Fox Hop Yard, maybe the Lake of Isles or Black Birch Golf Course. You know, for fishing, you've got the Salmon River for fly fishing or fishing on the Connecticut River, or there's lakes and streams and ponds. Or just a recreational package for people that want to hike all the open land, kayak, or go to the Gillette Castle, or you know, maybe there's a package for people that want to take a plane through the Goodspeed down the Connecticut River, or you know, take a boat trip up and down the Connecticut River. But it seems like if you could develop packages and work with restaurants and other businesses to kind of promote what's there, and then get some marketing firms to target market in, Boston, New York, Philadelphia, that's Massachusetts, a couple hours drive. You could entice people to come for a day, a weekend, a week. They spend money. They, they enjoy the area, but they're not a burden. I mean, you don't increase your overhead necessarily. And the businesses benefit, and you get more economic development.
Just to comment on that, Mike, basically, we are now working with what we call our 5 neighboring towns here. We call it the Lower River Valley.
Yep.
And that's exactly what we're working on, is to do things because just going to one town isn't enough.
Right.
But if we put the 5 towns together, to show what's going on in Essex, to show what's going on in Chester, and then, as you were mentioning, to actually develop it with a marketing firm, then you take what you've got and you get it out to a larger populace there where we can really get some business out of it. And I think we're developing now is basically using the railroad. They've been great partners of ours. And of course they've owned the boats. So now you've got something where we've got 2 ways to move people. And then also, of course, the trails that we have walking around. But I think that, each one of these towns have some very nice trails. They're opening up new ones. Lyme is opening up a new one next month. Lyme has some very nice open space down there. Chester has got a new one that they're opening up. We kind of hear about the things at these Lower Valley EDC joint ventures. And I think that we're working towards exactly what you're doing. Certainly getting some kind of a package put together is probably another big step. But I think what we're trying to do is develop something of an interest in working together to make it big enough to get people here. We do have a lodging problem. We don't have any rooms in this town, and lodging is a problem. But equally, the people who are in the industry tell me that it's financially, unless you're big enough, it's financially very difficult to make them work. We had one here in town that really just closed up this season. They're trying to sell it, not able to sell it, and basically now it's reverted back to a one-family house. Those are hard losses for us to lose lodging, especially in the village. That's where you want it. And the other one is for sale. And basically they've told me it financially doesn't work. So how do we overcome the lodging? It appears that you've got to have something big enough to, the 4 rooms and 8 rooms won't make it. You're probably talking minimum of 20 rooms from what the innkeepers tell me. And it's pretty high overhead to operate those things. So, but it's a key part of bringing people in. The day trippers, we can pull them out of Hartford, we can pull them out of other areas, and the day trip stuff we can handle. But as soon as we get into what we really like is the weekend or the long weekend, we could definitely have a shortage of lodging to make that happen. But I think to get it to, so let's say go from where we are right now to having some things, some activities going on, to getting it to a point where we could actually put it together as a package for day trips. I think that would be probably our next step, and make that available out there. But you need to get it out, though. You need to get it out into the marketing world to see how you could do it. And I think that maybe that is something that we could grow into. But certainly we see tourism as being our bread and butter here. I think that's where we're going, and that seems to be, you've got with such a strong one with the Opera House, a strong one with the castle, that whole section through there. We're certainly getting a much better working relationship with Connecticut Landmarks. They're sitting right in the middle of it. They're looking to do something, and I'm going to be meeting with them to see what we could work out for summertime activities. So, we're trying to put some pieces together, but we're definitely going in the avenue of what you're suggesting there, that's for sure. But I thank you for your comments, and by all means, join us anytime and give us more input. We can always use it. Thank you. And anybody else have any comments? Move to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second that.
All right, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much for our
Yeah.
good meeting tonight. I think we accomplished a lot.
On your list, Cave Hill,
Let me check.
distribution list.
Yeah, no,